This video contains spoilers for She-Hulk episode 7. When you think of a superhero film or TV show lately, you generally think that they're gonna have a lot of brooding darkness and R-rated scenes sprinkled with a bit of action and comedy all over. One might immediately come to mind things like Invisible, Homelander, or Peacemaker, and perhaps one of the more generic superhero series Marvel ever put out, like Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So when She-Hulk came out, it was a bit refreshing that the superhero genre now has a female-centered superhero series. And for the past 6 episodes, we've now seen very little brooding darkness and R-rated scenes. And if that's not your cup of tea, it's fine. Not every superhero needs to be brooding dark and full of R-rated scenes. And please don't be a dick when someone likes a superhero series with a female lead. She-Hulk has been so far a great refreshing series to add a lot of color to superhero shows. Sprinkle in a bit of action and comedy, and She-Hulk episode 7 really takes it to the next level. The episode started off strong when Jen gets up in the morning and gets ready for a date with Josh. And we're treated with a bunch of very nice VFX eye candy, and the kind of creative presentation of visual text message that we've never seen since the days of Sherlock. They certainly took inspiration from Sherlock with the floating text message later in the episode. But they also expanded upon it by having it overlaid on the world itself. After all the creative work in Ms. Marvel, I would love to see Marvel exploring this kind of a creative expression some more. And on top of that, the dating montage is quite refreshing. Instead of painting the girl in the show as a mere object of desire, as if they are a trophy to win, we get to see the dating scene from the point of view of a girl infatuated by a tall, dark, handsome man with a nice personality who somehow adores this Jen creature for some reason. And I love the plot twist of the cliched girl who's playing hard to get turned out to be just Jen being a dork and not realizing that the guy is actually up for a kiss. And ooh, the suspense of post-dating text message diplomacy of whether you should text them first or should you wait for the other party to text you first, which of course determines who will have the upper hand in the relationship. I don't know about you, but it's highly relatable. I'm also guilty of playing this game in the past and also have become the victim of waiting for a text message to come back. And boy, dude, this episode really showed how angsty you can be all the time while you wait for the text message to come. Maslany delivered the performance very well, and the showrunners really hit the nail on the head on this one. And of course, the best medicine for having to deal with this anxiety is to keep yourself busy. Luckily for Jen, the parole officer decided to call in on her to help check in on Emil Blonsky, which is a great callback to earlier episodes when Jen helped get him out of a prison. And what are the nice, subtle, hilarious thing about it is that Emil Blonsky actually did get to run a meditation retreat, as he claimed he would during his parole hearing. And he has been keeping his promise for parole and never turned into the abomination.
Princess Silkfeather was stuck.
Or is he?
Your favorite chicken?
Yeah, favorite chicken.
Great.
Look at how tall She-Hulk is in that scene. Anyway, it's amazing how many superhero/supervillains character Marvel have in their vault. And we get to be introduced with a lot of them in this episode. Man-Bull, El Aguila, Saracen, Porcupine, and unfortunately for Jen,
You know, sometimes life presents a teacher when there's a lesson to be learned.
and she could really use some help right now. Because while she's stuck at Emil Blonsky's summer Twilight Ranch while waiting for a tow truck, we get to learn more about the relationship between all these supervillains during their retreat. Did you notice that Jen uses metric?
I'm just gonna work over here in the 1 square meter of this property that actually has reception.
And how Man-Bull feels triggered by Ego's appearance resembling a matador is so cute.
I am not a matador.
And they cleverly relate this to Porcupine's issue of not wanting to take off his suit.
You want to take your suit off today?
I just feel safer with it on. Thank you.
Until some dude just barged in and Jen went into a panic.
Jen, please. Really?
Note how Emil immediately realizes what's going on here. And I was like, who's that? Until Jen suddenly broke the fourth wall and like,
You probably don't even remember who he is.
so that was quite a bit hilarious surprise. Followed up by,
Tell me they previously on him.
they didn't.
Here, we're doing it again. Previously on this guy.
And it's great to have a reminder of who this guy is after that brief late night incursion. Well, that's Wrecker from the Wrecking Crew. You get the joke? Wrecker? Wreck the chair? The neatly stacked chair?
Oh, I stacked those! It's cool.
It's a nice pun. And in the greatest plot twist in a superhero show, the climax of the show is not a fisticuff between the hero and the villain, but instead, Wrecker offered
I'd love to work through our issues if you'll let me.
And the She-Hulk accepted, and it was one of the greatest therapy session / superhero show episode climax ever. It's something that calls back to the previous episode on episode 1, when Jen said,
I do it infinitely more than you. And I'm fine. What?
You are not fine. Look at you flying into a rage, throwing people across the room.
Into perfectly stacked chairs.
And Emil Blonsky nicely got her to admit that she's having anxiety issues.
Look at you. You are glued to that thing.
And this group therapy session not only managed to fire the Chekhov's gun of Josh ghosting her throughout the whole show, it also resolved Jen's issue with Wrecker.
I hear you, Jen, and I take radical accountability for my actions.
And in the end, got Jen to be comfortable with the group.
Okay, Jen, do you believe that this group genuinely values the whole of you?
I do.
And there it is.
So maybe you can stop using She-Hulk as a protective shield and trust us with Jen.
And at the same time, inspired Porcupine to finally take his mask off.
Felt really good, Porcupine.
Could you just leave the suit on and until we can get it dry cleaned?
Oh, okay.
And here's a bit of a conspiracy detail. One of the most hilarious scenes in the show was when Jen admitted to committing the worst thing she could have ever done.
What did you do? What did you do?
Hey. Getting a little worried. Just want to know you're okay. Blushing smile emoji.
And after Jen finished describing her personal issues and finished with how
He ghosts me, and it sucks.
and everybody was like,
All right, screw this guy. Where does he live?
Let's kill him. That's right. He's got to die.
Whoa, big man, please.
No, Manboon is correct. Josh has made an enemy of this entire group. Tonight, we ride!
I mean, these are all super villains she's hanging out with here. But Emil Blonsky actively stopped everyone from doing that. By the way, El Aguila, he's a mutant. And we tied the bow in the closing of the episode very neatly.
If Josh isn't spending time on Jen, then Jen doesn't need to be spending time on Josh.
When the group finally convinced Jen to finally delete Josh's number. I mean, the wrecker is right. And for anyone who's been in any kind of a bad relationship, it really does feel good when you finally delete that one asshole's number, doesn't it?
Okay.
And that's it. That's the climax of the episode. The final bit. There's no punching, there's no superpower blasting an entire building or anything. Just sorting out your emotional issue in a very healthy way. By the way, recall that Emil Blonsky is the same guy who recognized that when Wrecker showed up in that therapy session, he's the one who immediately recognized there's going to be a lot of tension between Wrecker and Jen. Is Emil Blonsky secretly involved in the conspiracy with Josh and Hulk King? We got 2 episodes left to find out. And on top of everything, the episode advanced the plot. So the sorry winos who kept complaining about Marvel can shut the fuck up about that now. She-Hulk is a great superhero show representing Marvel's value to the core, that everyone is welcome, except for the intolerant. And that a superhero show can be so grounded that it might just be the world outside your window. Looking forward to episode 8. Make sure to subscribe for more superhero positivity.